Good morning, good morning, good morning. Peace of blessings. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. And I just wanted to come and add some volume to what we're talking about as it pertains to, the stock market and the economy and what's been going on, not only right now with the stock market and the trade with China and all the different countries, if you've been catching the last couple videos, you know, I've been kind of on that tip. And it's very important. Economics is unimportant. It's very important. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to make it unimportant when I joking a little bit here and there, you know what I'm saying, about certain things where people hit me up about it. You know, hey man, I'm from Chicago, man. We talk trash, man. I don't mean no hard feelings by the trash talking, man. It's just how we get out. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I just be wanting to just be thinking about things, man. And as the title says, the working and middle class has been destroyed. And what I mean by that is when you look at it from a generational standpoint. Like I remember my grandparents, on my mother's side and on my father's side, you know, um, it was a time where they didn't have to have a certain level of education to afford homes and build, a great life for their children and their grandchildren. Like my grandmother, she worked at AT&T, which used to be Illinois' Bell telephone company. You know what I'm saying? And my grandfather on my mother's side was he was in the service in the Navy. So and they built they built the foundation for their whole family. And at that particular time, you could go and work at the local factory and have a great life, buy a home, put your kids through college. You can establish good credit. You can establish a savings account. And what messed up everything as far as the working middle class is the backbone of a great economy, of a great nation. But at this particular time is when I would think that it ain't about, when we say make America great again, it's about going back to that time where the working middle class had access to the American dream as well as the upper middle class. People that, had the big degrees and the doctors and the lawyers. Like we all were able to thrive. Now they might have been able to live in a little bit better neighborhoods, but minus like the racism and the civil rights and all that going on. If you could eliminate that and implement how it was more accessible for people to live a better quality of life, yeah, man, I would like to go back to that. And I think that's what Trump represents. But see, what happened was we traded our working middle class for cheap labor in countries like China. So we sent all the manufacturing jobs in exchange for cheaper labor because these corporations like, hey, you know what? If I could get our product made in China instead of United States, they almost, at this time, China was like a third world country almost. So we could build up our company at the expense of not having to pay the American citizens, a higher wage. We can have our products made in China. And I believe this was the decline to the working middle class here in America. Because what you did was, although they paying Chinese workers less money, you're actually building up China's working and middle class. Those jobs could have been here. We are still the strongest nation in this country, in this world. This country still has the strongest buying power. But we would be even much stronger if we manufactured here, if we built everything here and outsourced everywhere else. We sold everything everywhere else. But what we did was built up countries like China as to where now they feel like they could go in a trading war with us 50, 60, 70 years later. And now the working middle class, these kids getting out of school, they can't go get a job at the local steel mill. We don't manufacture steel. They can't go to the car companies and because they don't, they have them here still. We manufacture vehicles, but not like we used to. Like cities like Detroit, that at one point created the motor. They were the motor city capital of the world, with GM Motors. That fed generations of families. But it's been decimated because now we outsource to other countries to give us our product when we are the innovators here in America. We created, it's our ideas that we sent to other nations to pay for cheaper labor, which ultimately destroyed the working middle class, where the middle class and the working class have lost the accessibility that they once had to the American dream. Think about that. Think about that, man. We once had the accessibility for everybody to just work hard. If you didn't want to go to college, if you didn't want to, if you didn't have access to go get a doctorate degree, all you had to do was work hard because you had it at your disposal and take care of your family and feed your children and build a savings and a pension. But over time, we outsourced all of that to countries like China, man. And they products are trash. The stuff that they send us is terrible. Like, we could do way much, but they not smarter than us. We just use them for cheap labor at our own detriment, and they built up their wealth over time. So now it's 2025, and we don't have any manufacturing power here in the United States. So much so that, just peep this, see how it all correlates. When COVID hit, it has been uncovered by Doge that COVID was manufactured in China. It's facts about this. So we were given this man-made pandemic, but we still don't manufacture the medicine here in America, and we were looking for the same entity, our greatest adversary at this point, our greatest competitor. We looking for them to provide us with a medicine to combat the pandemic that they created. How insane is that? Think about that. Think about the dynamic of that. They create COVID-19 in a laboratory in Milan or wherever, China. And then we're relying on them to give us the antidote. But if we were back in the time where we created the medicine here, it was foundational Black Americans that created the traffic light. It was foundational Black Americans that created all of these great inventions at one time. You know what I'm saying? These are our ideas that we sent overseas to be manufactured and sold back to us. And then they add a tariff on it that's 33%, where we're only charging them 2%. They've been taking full advantage of us. And I'm sorry, if you side with a different country other than the one that you live in, if you hate your country so much that you side with China and all these other nations over the country that your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren are going to inherit, then that's a heart problem, bro. You're not thinking long term. You got so much vitriol in you that you blinded, you hypnotized with self-hatred. Yeah, this country got its issues, but at the end of the day, this is where our legacy is going to continue. 9 times out of 10, we're not going to live in no other country. Our grandchildren are going to be right here. So why not do everything we can do to make this the best experience for our children and their children and their children, regardless. See, this is the legacy, the idea, the patriotism that other countries have that we lack. The working middle class has been destroyed in America due to the greed of his leadership. And what Donald Trump has shown the world is that although we down, although we destroyed, we have not been eliminated. We are the silent majority, regardless of your race, color, creed, religion. Man, when Trump was doing that trade war, it's still going on with China. He showed America's strength that, listen, I'm going up against Wall Street. I'm going up against the elites on the behalf of the working middle class that has been destroyed. But in order to rebuild, you got to destroy, then rebuild. We need to bring back manufacturing jobs here. If we don't bring them back here, we need to have fair and equal trading across the board. If we come up with the innovations and we create the ideas for the planet to thrive on, we need to benefit from that. We need innovative minds like an Elon Musk that have the knack for technology, so we could become the nation that is the strongest as far wherever the world is going in the direction of AI. We need the strongest and most brightest minds here building here. Like Taiwan, they make all these different things that we need. The chips that they put in our phones, the chips that they put in our computers, Taiwan makes that. Imagine we got Taiwan on our side. Imagine if China, our greatest adversary, got Taiwan in their back pocket and able to do whatever they want to do as far as putting a tariff on us. For our very survival, we need that. We need Taiwan building here in America, not in China. Because if we have to be subjugated to our greatest adversary, just like with COVID-19, what does that say about our future? But if we got companies with people in Taiwan building up our infrastructure, which Taiwan has acquiesced and said, yeah, I'm rolling with United States. Let's make deals. See, this was a power play. Now we got people, if we, just a thought, if we get the people from Taiwan that know how to make these chips to come in America, build up corporations, teach the people here how to make these chips, and then we build manufacturing companies over the next 4 years, and we buy them out. Now we supply the rest of the world with these chips. Not only do we have these chips, but we enhance them through our own artificial intelligence. Now we redistribute them to the rest of the world. Now we tell China what time it is with these chips, opposed to them telling us what time it is. You know what I mean? So the working middle class has been destroyed, but we not eliminated. Remember when Trump was running, he said, they not after me, they after you. I'm just standing in the way. You feel that? It make more sense now, because the same people that's up against what Trump has done is against the working middle class citizens. You got politicians like Jasmine Crockett coming out here making statements like, we ain't picking cotton no more. You ain't trying to work in the farmland no more. Hold on. Ain't about picking no cotton or nothing like that. We've been past that. But why wouldn't you want to work your own farmland? These people like Jasmine Crockett are ultra wealthy people that they don't want to even watch their own kids. They got nannies. It's not say her specifically. I'm just saying the ultra wealthy people that are politicians and things, they don't identify with the working middle class. They have forgotten, like I started off, what their grandfathers and grandmothers did and how they supplied a healthy, a safe, economic, financial situation for them to thrive in. Because back in the 90s, the same thing Trump was saying, the Democratic Party was saying, a lot of them, but they lost that vision. They like, man, we could use the same thing they did with these other nations, outsourcing the manufacturing jobs to places like China. They tried to do right here with illegal immigration. See, when Jasmine Crockett said that, in her mind, man, y'all don't want the American citizens don't want these manufacturing jobs. That's what picking cotton was the equivalent to what she was saying. Y'all don't want these factory jobs, these warehouse jobs, these jobs where we building these chips, where we building this infrastructure, where we're building automobiles that you could take care of your family. We could bring in illegal immigrants and pay them slave type labor. They gonna take where we probably have to pay you $30 an hour. We could pay them $12 an hour, $15 an hour. See, the same thing that they did before to destroy the middle class, when they sent the manufacturing jobs, the same jobs that our grandparents had, that we were able to, have a middle class back then. They sent them overseas. They trying to get to the illegal immigrants right here. I see it. Trump see it. But see, where they messing up at is you selling the soul you selling the soul, you selling your soul, you selling the soul of the nation, the soul of the country, you selling it out for pennies on the dollar, for cheap products. China gonna give you the cheapest material they have. If we don't build steel in U.S. steel in America, we're done. Finished. If we don't manufacture steel, if we don't manufacture automobiles, if we don't have a productive working middle class, we're done as a nation. You know? So the working middle class has been destroyed. But what we see with these stock markets going back up, and what Trump has proved to the rest of the world, over 75 countries have fallen in line, is that although the working middle class has been destroyed, we have not been eliminated. And we're speaking loud and clear right now. And to build back, make this country the once powerhouse that it once was, we're going to have to build back. We're going to have to build back the working middle class. But maybe we'll finish this conversation at a later time. I just wanted to add some substance to the last few videos that I made as far as the stock market is concerned. But it's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. Peace and blessings. We love y'all. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Love.